I was sleeping in the car, I had to do it. When I was walking the streets being homeless, I had to do it. When I was writing my book, yo, man, there was moments in writing my book that I cried. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, man, like I can't believe I went through that.
Yeah.
So my life that I went through is not by accident. It was by
Right.
design.
Mm.
So when we're looking at the program and we're like dominant by design, the 330, right? It's like, yo, I designed this. This happened intentionally. You know what I'm saying? Whether if you're spiritual, whatever it is, my life was designed and I'm living it.
Welcome to the Identify Your Lane podcast, where we interview guests who have mastered their lane and go through a discussion about how did they figure out what was the right path for them for the sole purpose of helping others figure out what they should be doing in their lives so they can actually go and become masters of their lane. I am your host, Daniel Truelove Jr., and I'm excited to interview our guest that we have coming to you tonight. My man, his name is Pierre Evans, and I'm excited to have a discussion about how he went through the process of identifying your lane. Pierre, man, how's everything going with you, my guy?
Oh man, everything is going great, man. It's phenomenal right now, man. I feel good. After everything that I've been through over the last year, man, to
Mm,
be where I am right at this moment. True blessing, man. But at the same time, my own personal testimony to myself. You know what I mean? Sometimes we look
right.
for it externally, but I like to be my testimony at the same time, man. So yeah, to find that internal, over this last year, man, it's been phenomenal, bro.
I feel you, man. Last year, man, was a crazy year, I think, for most people. I think people will attest to that, man. So just to be able to come out for us both to be, healthy, alive, and doing well, man, that's obviously a blessing, man. So I'm excited that you are here tonight and that you can be that testimony for yourself. And we're actually going to get into a lot of that, tonight. And so the first thing I want to start with is just, man, introduce yourself for those that, may be under a rock and not know who Pierre Evans is, man. Like, introduce yourself to the people.
Man, my name is Pierre Evans from Providence, Rhode Island, that little place on the map. And I actually developed the program in the Fifth Quarter Academy, where the
Okay.
whole concept is, man, taking that hustle and that Monday to Monday, and staying on that same grind for 4 years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Most people who take off Saturday, Sunday. That's 104 days a year that people are throwing away, but then complaining about life. You know what I'm saying? So that
mm,
whole fifth quarter movement is do that for the next four. Maximize them weekends. You're going to gain an extra year. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
An extra year that people throw away. This is how, if you don't have a formal education, you're not the sharpest knife in the drawer. This is how you
mm.
get ahead of everybody, man. You just outwork them. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, that's dope. And so that had to come from a place because we're gonna get into the fifth quarter academy. We definitely gonna get there, but I think it's important for us to actually talk about the journey of how you got there because I think it
Yeah.
sort of highlights everything and what you're doing right now. It makes it make more sense. So let's talk about it. You said Providence, Rhode Island, man. Tell me what was it like growing up in Providence?
It was fun and dangerous and fearful all at the
Hold
same
on,
time.
Providence, Rhode Island is dangerous.
Hey, listen, yeah, bro, it's not it's not I'm listening. It's not the worst place in the world,
Okay,
but
okay,
it's definitely not somewhere where you want to go and not pay attention. You know what I'm
really?
saying? Yeah, no, that little space gets bad because it's so small and you have so
Mm,
many people. So you look at let's just say you got 10 different sides of towns,
mm.
but you can get to each side in 5 minutes.
Oh
You see what I'm
wow.
saying?
Yeah.
So it's so congested, man, and that's what really makes it bad. So growing up, I had a great time.
Mm,
It was just me and my mom. Wasn't no dad in the crib, but my mom played
mm.
both roles. By the age of 8, after I lost my great grandmother, I got suicidal. You know what I'm saying?
For
Like she
real?
was like everything to me, and yeah, like they was her son and her grandkids was treating her bad, so we went and stayed out there for a little while. So we
Dang.
had like every day for like 3-4 months, man, where I'm waking up with her. I'm helping to eat. You know what I'm saying? I'm helping to get
Mm,
dressed. Like she was my rock. You know what I'm saying? She had so many stories with me. And when she was gone, bro, I just wanted to be with her. You know what I'm saying? On top of everything else that I was facing. So I
Mm-hmm.
went through the suicidal things, and my mom had to deal with it. I talk about it in my book. I was throwing rocks at my mother. You know what I mean, on her way to work,
Dang.
and it was hard. It wasn't. You know what I'm saying. I ain't had the best life, but I didn't have the worst one either.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, man, like I grew so much from it, and my mom stuck it out, man. Even she took it and she put me in a little mental institution for kids.
For
You know what I'm
real?
saying? So yeah, I had to spend
Dang.
3 months there, man, and that was
At
that
eight
was
year,
the wildest thing, man. But
at,
it helped.
at 8 years old, you had to spend 3 months there.
Yeah, I actually went there when I was 9. When I
Oh,
was 9, so
nine. Okay.
there was some time. Yeah, there was some time in between. But at 9, I went there. I spent 3 months, man. That summer, you know what I'm saying? That whole summer, man, was in that spot,
So
and
what?
it was crazy because I go ahead.
I was just gonna ask you, what was that? What was that experience like?
Different, man.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me a lot, right? Watch this. Like when I'm talking about being uncomfortable creates growth. Like, bruh, I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, this is where this comes from. So when I'm saying this in the book, or I'm speaking and I'm talking about, like, this really happened. I cried going into the spot. I didn't want to go.
Mm.
Like my mom was like, if you go, I'm gonna get you some Legos. I used to love Legos. You know what I'm saying? I used to build
Mm.
like big stuff. Like I
I
had like
feel you.
5-gallon buckets, 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dang.
my mom said, I get you another gallon. You know what I'm saying? Another 5-gallon bucket Legos if you just go in, because I
Mm.
had to walk in by myself. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't
Mm.
be forced, and that was part of the policy. So I walked in, and they grabbed my Legos. My mom turned around, and they snatched me up. So now I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in here, and I cried, man. Like I didn't want to be there. I felt abandoned, everything. And after 3 months, bro, I created friends. Like I found my
Oh
first
wow.
white friends. You know what I'm saying? Not my first, because my man Jeff, when we played football, like that was my dude. But outside of Jeff, like this was the first time I had like some white friends from the country. Jeff was from the hood a little bit. But, like
Mm.
these two dudes was from the country. One was a biker, man, my man Jeremy. The other dude, Sean, was from New Hampshire. And
Yeah.
like, yo, I cried going in, and I was hugging these dudes to death on my way out.
Dang.
And that's when I realized, man, I went in there uncomfortable, but I grew to be a better person and see people as people. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So that's where that uncomfortable equals growth come from.
Right. And I think that's an important point to sort of highlight, because I think a lot of times we can look at a situation for everything that we think that it can't be, but not fully understand the
Mhm.
possibilities that can happen when we allow ourselves to be uncomfortable. What would you say is the one thing that you took away from your experience there that you still sort of like, keep with you to this day?
People are people, and
Mm.
learn people before you just, come to your own conclusion on people. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Sometimes we look and we're judging a book by its cover, but you don't know who that person is. That can end up being your best friend. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like you could, like
Yeah.
we ended up being roommates. Like they never had 3 people in the room, but we were so cool and it kept us at peace. They let
Yeah.
all 3 of us be in one room.
That's
Like,
probably
bro,
was
it was,
better for them too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like they probably was like, yeah, hey, listen, let them rock together, like
Mhm.
that. Like we want to keep that peace in here. If that's what it takes for them to be
Yeah,
peaceful, hey man, let's rock with it. Yeah, so that's dope. Yeah, so
yeah.
so 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 let's talk about it a little bit more, because I don't want to feel like I glossed over this. You talked about your
Mhm.
grandmother, being the rock, and you lost her, at an early age. Tell me a little bit about like what was that experience like? Not just losing your grandmother, but what did you have to now do to adjust to a new norm without her presence being there, with her being such an influential person within your life?
Man, it was the adjustment was rough, right? And
Mm,
going into that spot, like it really helped me to talk about some things and see what the issues was. But
mm,
I still carried it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because I just wanted them conversations. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? Like that was a grandmother. Like there's some people you got a grandmother and
yeah.
you love her, but it's not that grandmother that you
Yeah.
see when you a kid and you watching Mayberry, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
or you watching the Huxtables and grandma comes over and you sitting on the lap.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I
everyone
feel
don't
you.
have that, but my great grandmother was that. You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
So like I'm laying there at 4 o'clock in the morning, bro. She waking me up. Come up here, Pierre. And I'm jumping into
mm,
bed with her. She's all fragile, you know what I'm saying? I'm laying with her and she reading. She used to love the Bible, man, and her favorite scripture was, "The Lord is my shepherd; I shall not fear."
mm,
And she would read it to me every morning.
mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like as a young kid, like to have that grandma.
Yeah.
And I think that's something now, the effect that it has on me is when I lost her, I'm like, yo, like nothing else could really hurt.
Mm.
Like you can only have but so many worst times of your life. People, that was
Right.
the worst time of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. 3 months later, you had another worst time of your
Big
life. Like, yo, when does
facts.
it,
Big
like, when do
facts.
you run out of them?
Mm-hmm.
And for me, man, I think at that moment, it desensitized me to death. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, it happens, but I can't stop moving just because it happened. My grandmother, that put me in the nut house. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I'm not going to the
Yeah.
house for nobody, bro.
Right.
Like, I'm not
Right.
going down that road. So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things. The biggest lesson is you can only have a hard pain one daggone time, man. If you look at it that way, it makes life a lot easier. You're gonna lose people.
Man, the crazy thing about that is that, man, because I experienced death at an early age, but so my oldest sister, she died when I was 2. I had a brother who died when I was 10, and then a sister that died when I was 14. You talk about losing your grandmother and having that staple in your life, man. My grandmother was a huge staple. My dad's mom was a huge staple in our lives as well. And I lost my grandfather and my grandmother within 2 months of each other. So my senior year of high school, I couldn't go on my senior trip because my grandfather had just died. And then my grandmother got to that place, and man, once grandpops died, man, she was like, yo, I don't even want to live no more. And so I lost her. I lost her right after that. And so, man, that having those rocks like that, like you talked about, man, like it's super important and vital to have those within your life, but to be able to lose those individuals, man, that can really have, what I'm saying, a big hit in your life. But like the perspective that you have about, like, you can only have one rough patch, only once. But what happens to an individual that doesn't have that perspective, right? Say for example, like me, I lose my oldest sister when I was 2. Boom, a couple years later, I'm 10, still young, right? My brother dies. Boom. 4 years after that, boom, my sister dies. A couple months after my sister died, my grandfather on my mom's side died. Say a couple years later, in between their aunts, uncles pass away, and then my grandparents on my dad's side. Like, how do you say? Because I didn't view it like you're viewing it right now. I viewed it as like, man, I felt like death was my reality. Like, I felt like, man, there was a point in time when I was younger that I felt like, man, I was the reason why cats was dying. Like, my family is dying because, like, what am I doing wrong type thing. So how did you gain that perspective? And what would you say to individuals that may not view that way because they feel like it's happening maybe a little bit too often for
Yeah, we all got to know how we're wired.
them?
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like the way I look at it might not work for somebody else,
Yeah.
but the way that they're currently dealing with it is not working for them. So you got to start to figure out what's the best way for you to talk to you. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like self-talk is important. I
yeah.
didn't just get that way just because I decided to say, yo, I didn't like the response that I got from the way I dealt with my great grandmother. Like I didn't
Right.
like that. I didn't like wanting to kill myself. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I'm happy. Like that's one thing I never succeeded at.
Mm,
So when I look at it like that, I'm like, okay, cool. I can hurt, but I can't hurt to the point where I want to hurt me. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Because they wouldn't want me to hurt me. I'm doing
Right.
that because I just want to be with them or I miss them. Yo, for me, I'm like, yo, that's being selfish, Pierre. They
Mm,
lived a
I feel
life
you.
and they
Yeah.
wasn't happy right now with their quality of life.
Mm-hmm.
They was older, they couldn't go and move the same way. People are watching them. Bro, I don't know about you, but I'm not like, I don't want my son to have to go between my cheeks and wipe me. You see what I'm saying? I'm
Mm,
not trying to have my daughter do that. Like, I don't want
right.
that life.
Mm-hmm.
So for them not to be here, it's like, all right, cool. Don't be selfish, Pierre. They're good now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They lived a
Yeah.
long life. They're good. Now, some people might
Facts.
say, okay, cool, but what do you say if it's somebody younger? What do you
Mm,
say when there's somebody who ain't live a life yet and they
yep.
20, they
Mm-hmm.
15 years old? I believe, right? And this is me. You can't have belief without faith and faith without
Mm,
belief, no matter
right.
what you believe in. So if something happens to somebody, I want to find out what am I supposed to learn from this situation?
I love it.
Because no matter what, I can't bring them back. And
Mm-hmm.
on my arm right here, this is my man. Like he was kidnapped and murdered. On this
Mm,
shoulder over here is my cousin, shot 22 times. Like I know what the pain feels like. But
mm,
at the same time, I can't live that pain for the rest of my life. You see
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. I feel
So
you.
I got to move forward, bro. And I just think talk to yourself multiple different ways and see what clicks. When you
Yeah.
find what clicks, talk to yourself like that, whether people agree or disagree, it puts you in a happy place. And I think that's the
Right.
most important thing, man.
Yeah, man. I know you, so I know a lot of the things that you talk about is mental toughness, and I didn't know that we were going to get into this space, man. But that's just the way the conversation is flowing. But you talked about suicide, at a very early age. Me being somebody that's contemplated suicide as well, and that there's a lot of people. I did some research that said, at the time that I did the research, it said, 800,000 people, commit suicide a year. So, man, like, tell me a little bit about like that talk that you have with yourself, and how can you, be more mentally tough, and not, as you mentioned, not selfish as it relates to suicide and ending life prematurely.
So when you look at it, man, you got to be able to, number one, value yourself first, right? So
Mm.
I believe in a 90-day reset.
Okay.
And in that first 30 days of the 90. So let me tell you where it comes from, though, because I need people to really like understand it.
Okay.
When
Break it
you
down
when you
for
go to
us.
start your job, you get a 90-day probationary period,
Right.
right? And every day you're showing up 30 minutes early. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like
Right.
you ain't close to being late. You ain't playing
Mm-hmm.
games with traffic, flat
You
tires,
ain't trying
pulled
to get
over,
fired.
nothing. Right? You there. When
Right.
you get there, you're not even taking your full lunch break. You know what I'm saying? If it's 30 minutes, you're taking 25 of it, you back
Mm-hmm.
at your desk ready to punch in.
Right.
And you waiting right there, like, boop, got it.
Mm.
So then you get the job. You feel good. Now you start talking to people. You got friends at work. You're talking about management. The job sucks. They don't pay you enough. You got complaints now. You showing
Mm-hmm.
up just on time. You staying extra for lunch. You see what I'm saying? But what happens if you took your life and said, yo, I'm going to be on a 90-day probationary period? In the first 30 days, all I'm going to do is focus on me, like who I am. What do I like? What are my dislikes? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses?
Mm.
What makes me produce better? What makes me underproduce? You know what I'm saying? Like understand you for 30 days. Get that
Yeah.
mental data on yourself.
Mm.
Now that next 30, go ahead and implement the stuff that you learned.
Right.
You just learned new stuff about you. Go out and implement now. Go put in some work.
Mm.
That 30 after that, look at the gaps of your execution
Right.
and then go execute again.
Right.
Now you're gonna have to reset because you just went through 90 days
Mm-hmm.
of really pushing yourself and stretching yourself.
Right.
So now you got to reset because you're not the same person now 90 days later that you was the last 90.
All right.
You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? So you just keep repeating that process.
Okay. So we I want to dive. I like what you just said. So I definitely want to dive deeper into that. But I know that hasn't always been the case. So we talked
Mhm.
about your childhood a little bit. Tell me a little bit what happened after you went through the losses that you went through. You went through the
Mhm.
challenges that you went through as a youth. Tell me what happened after that. Like, was it all rainbows and sunshine? Was it sweet? You said you grew up in a tougher environment. What was life like? What was the adolescence life for you, and then what did that lead to for you?
Yeah, so it calmed me down for a little bit when I got out. I think probably for about, I got out 3 months later. That was nine. By time I hit 11, 10 and a half, 11, I was right back at it, like going hard. Like
Mm,
I get suspended for a week. I go back to school. I get suspended for another week. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? Like the same day. So now my mom got to keep leaving work, coming up to the school, getting me. I wasn't taking no tests. I wasn't doing no work. Things just got bad. So my mother said, listen, I'm gonna give you a whole new start and we're gonna move out west. We're gonna go to California with
oh,
my
okay.
uncle. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I made it out west for a little while. And we had a long talk on the plane. I remember I had my little Mickey Mouse watch on with the brown band, you know what I'm saying? And I'm
Right,
looking
right.
at it and I'm like, yo, okay, I'm listening to you, Ma, but I don't know what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And but we're gonna see and I'm gonna try. We had all that long hoopla stuff, just the rah-rah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, but then when we landed, probably about a week into being in school, I got jumped.
Mm,
And from there, man, it just like opened everything up. Like I started
yeah.
just getting right back into everything else that I was doing. We lasted out there for about 3 years, man. And then my mom said, "Yo, we gotta go back." I was getting into
Dang.
too much.
Yeah.
She made a great choice. You know what I'm saying? Made a great
Right.
choice. I came back, and a couple months later, man, I went to Job Corps
Okay.
and I begged her to let me go. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm,
begged her. I was 16. I begged her to let me go. She finally said yes. So I ended up out in Maine, Bangor, Maine, and
man. Okay.
yeah, Bangor, Maine, man. And it was crazy though. I had a good time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like it was fun. I was learning some stuff, and then some dude from my projects came up.
Mm.
messed everything up, man. Within the 3 days of him being there, I was woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They were sending me out. You know what I'm saying? We ended up fighting at the cookout and wrestling with the cops, and we got kicked out, man. So now I didn't tell my mom. I'm just walking the streets. You know what I'm saying? Hanging out,
Dang.
hustling, and she pulled up on me and brought me home, man. And from there, we had another long discussion, and I just got deeper to the streets, man. Deeper, a lot
Okay.
deeper.
So what was the street like? So did you get graduate high school, get a GED? What was the educational route for you?
Yeah, no, I dropped out of high school in the 11th grade. When I came
Okay.
back from California, I played football for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
at the end of my 11th grade year, they was like, "Yeah, you can't play next year." You know what I'm saying? This was like
Mm.
at the end of the football season. They're like, "You
Okay.
can't play next year." You know what I'm saying? Your eligibility isn't. You used it up, and I'm like, I never even heard eligibility until that point. You
Oh
see what I'm saying? Like,
wow.
I'm like my eligible what? Like what you
Yeah.
just say? Like what is that? Like
Facts.
where do I find that? You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
trying to look for it. And they're like, no, because when you left this school, you came from California, came back here, this
Mm.
happened with your grade, and so now you used your 4 years. And
Dang,
I
I
didn't
didn't
know
even know
nothing
that.
about it. Yeah, so it messed me all up. So at
Mm.
that point, I was like, man, I don't even want to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like I was only here to play football. You
Right.
telling me
Right.
I can't play? And at that point,
Gone.
bro, I went shopping for 3 outfits. I'm picking out outfits so on my 18th birthday I can go drop out of school. You know what I'm saying? And
Dang.
I'm trying them on everything, bro. And I dropped out on that day. I call it the dummy gift. That's what I gave
Mm.
myself for my 18th birthday. The dropout.
All
Gave
right.
myself the dropout papers.
So let me ask you this. So growing up, like, because we're gonna get into like your transition into the streets, right? But growing up,
Mhm.
like, did you have a thought like, man, this is what I want to be when I grow up, or did you like what was your thoughts younger that you were gonna do with your life? Did you have any?
Yeah, I did. I had some. I was gonna be a cop, and I talk about it in my
Really?
book, man. Yeah, in like the first
That's
chapter, man. When I
hilarious.
was 5, I used to tell everybody I'm gonna be a state trooper. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to be a state trooper so bad, but it's because the cops used to come through my neighborhood and
Mm.
beat people up and take their money and then let them go. And I used to be like, man, I'm gonna be a cop, and I'm never gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Mm.
wanted to be a cop to not do what I seen happen. And I
Okay.
think that's a lot of stuff, man. People, always got an opinion, but they're never jumping in to put themselves in that spot to be
Right.
the person to make the change. They just want to talk about it
Right.
and let
Right.
other
Right.
people make the change. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you go from wanting to be a cop to being in the streets? Tell me about that.
Man, it was easier. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
This is why your circle is important. I
Mm.
had people around me that was making the streets easy for me to be introduced to. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like accidentally introducing me to it. So
Okay.
when I'm sitting there and the dude I'm walking to school with every morning is one of the big dudes in my neighborhood, like always got the new leather, the new sneakers, knots
Mm-hmm.
of money. Like, yo, you need some lunch money, Pierre? Here, man. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like all the time, like never tripping. He walking me to school
Mm.
every day. I'm leaving school. I'm watching people on my block like making money early morning, mid afternoon, nighttime, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was appealing. I didn't have
Right.
nobody around me showing me what the steps were to be a cop,
Yep.
but people was around me showing me how to become a hustler.
Mm.
So I accidentally learned how to be involved in that environment. I remember I used to keep sunflower seeds in my mouth because people used to keep bottles, like crack
Yeah.
bottles in their
Yeah. Yeah.
mouth
Yeah.
in case the cops came, right? So I would have sunflower seeds and I would come around the corner running like I was running from the cops because I was emulating what I seen.
Mm.
Like I want that.
Dang.
Like that was the life.
Yeah.
But nobody would show me how to be a cop unless it was on a movie.
Yeah. That man. That's the reason why exposure is so important. And I'm glad you mentioned
Yeah.
that. And we're gonna get more into that. And so boom. So what was the street like? Were you in the streets for a long, like a year, 2 years, 10 years? What was that like?
Man, 2 years would have been a blessing. 10 would have been a blessing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, at 10 years old, bro, I never forget it, man. It was me and my guy. We was walking, and one of the older dudes from my projects, man, they was up at the top of the block, and we was coming up at the bottom, and he came down, and they was up there taking turns because it was slow, so everybody's just taking turns. You know what I'm saying? Being
Mm-hmm.
being friendly, not running the cars.
Right.
And my man came down. He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna give you these 5. You knock these 5 off. Give me 25. You keep 25." I'm like, "Ooh, yep,
Bet.
boom." So
Yeah.
I'm in, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the dude came up and he was like, "Yo, who got something?" And I
Mm.
was like, "I got you." He was like, "Come on, man, you're a kid." And I'm like, "Nah, man, like, yo, we're good." You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. I said, "Yo, these are my last 2. I just need to eat and I'm getting out of here." He was
Mm.
like, "Yo, man, I'm gonna get them from you because they're your last 2 and you don't need to be out here. But yo, I'll
Mm.
never do this again, man. Get out of here." You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, after that point, that was my sales line. You
That
see
was
what I'm
at
saying? Like
that was
that
at
was the
10 years
sales line.
old.
That was at 10, man. 10 years old, man. That was the summer. That was
Dang.
summertime, man, when I was 10 years old.
So you
And from
was
there,
out on
man,
the
I just
block at 10.
yeah. Like it's crazy because I was here on the block and my building was like two buildings back. And if you was looking, if my mom went in my bedroom window and looked out, she would have seen me. You see what I'm saying? I wasn't even
Mm,
thinking about it. I'm just like, I'm about to get this bread. And from there, man, it was a hobby. You know what I'm saying? Like I just
right,
do this, make some daily money, boom,
right,
boom,
right.
boom. And it went from a hobby to
A
this is yo,
lifestyle. That's
this
it.
is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then by the time the lifestyle came in before the homelessness, you know what I'm saying? Like it
Right,
was a lot
right.
of different lifestyles on the
Yeah.
journey though. Yeah.
So as a youngin out there on the block, like were you did you have OGs that had you, or were you ever like did everybody run you for for your set? Like did you ever get got? Like what was that experience like? Or did they not try and come at you just because you was like a youngin just trying to make some bread? Like what was that like?
Yeah, no, it was like in my projects, I lived there all my life. So I grew up with everybody there. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was like I was born into it. I didn't move
Mm,
over there. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like move there when I was able to walk. Like I was in there when I was crawling. So we all came up together. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
If anything, they're like, yo, get out of here. Because if your mom see you out here with us, she gonna be spazzing on us. So yo,
Right,
you
right.
gotta get out of here. You're gonna make our
Yeah.
block hot. You know what I'm saying? But it was never like I ain't never had I ain't never had block problems.
Okay. All right. So you said okay. So you went from a youngin. That was your environment. That's what you did,
Mhm.
and you were in there. So you said if 10 years would have been a blessing, but you were in there longer than that. What was the
Yeah.
transition for you like? Because you talked about your exposure, and that's all you saw. Like
Yeah.
how did you transition out of that?
It's one day, man, I came in and my wife, she started just snapping on me.
Mm,
Well, she was my girlfriend at the time. We've been together 24 years now.
okay.
And she was just snapping on me. You care more about them out there than you do us in the house. And she was
Mm,
going in. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like I do what I do for you, and I'm trying to justify everything. I
right.
do it for you, I do it for my son. Boom, she went in, man. Like we can't even say the words, right? And
Oh yeah.
at the end of the conversation, I went in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I was like, wow, she's right.
mm,
Like she's really right. Like I put my life and my freedom on the line for people that wouldn't even take care of my family if I wasn't there. And when I walked out the bathroom, I was like, oh man, whatever, man, I'm out. And
mm,
I left because I couldn't take that assault anymore. Because she
mm.
was right. You see what
Oh
I'm saying? But
yeah.
at that point, she told me, like, yo, either you leave the streets or we're leaving you. So the game plan had to change.
So
You know what I'm
we
saying? I had to
submit.
start thinking
Did y'all
different.
have kids at this moment? Because you said we.
Yeah, I have my son. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that's why she's like, yo, if you don't stop, then yo, we're leaving you.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, I'm doing it for you, but really I'm doing it because I'm afraid of what's on
mm,
the other. I don't know
right.
what's on the other side. I just know what I'm doing, and I know this
Mm,
works. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Right. Right.
And for
Right.
her, it wasn't working no more. It never really worked. She was always telling me, but at this point, man, she was just fed up. So
Right.
decisions had to be made.
Okay. All right. So you had that. You had that look in the mirror, and but then
Mhm.
what was? But still, after that, I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy of a transition. Like what was next for you after the streets? Like what was your venture into your next becoming of whatever that was?
Yeah, so we finally packed up the house. We sat on the computer first, and we was just looking like, yo, where are we gonna go? Pulling up the map,
Mm-hmm.
and we was looking in Texas, Houston, San Antonio, and then we said, yo, let's go out west, and we took a flight out to Vegas, stayed in
Mm.
Vegas for a minute,
Vegas. Vegas.
went to
Vegas.
Arizona, went to California,
Mm-hmm.
back up to Vegas, flew out, and we decided on Arizona, man, and we came out here, and it
Okay.
was like, yo, let's just cut everything. You know what I'm saying? Like we stopped in North Carolina first. North Carolina was that first stop.
Okay.
That was the first stop, and we spent 3 years there. And then we hit Arizona.
Okay.
So that was North Carolina was my deprogramming stage.
Okay.
That's why I deprogrammed my life. You know what I'm saying? I got the NIWGA out of me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was able
Facts. I
to
feel you.
degress
Yeah.
and actually laugh and talk to people and not be all in my
Mm-hmm.
rear views and looking like
Yeah.
I'm looking for somebody. Like I was able to find who I wanted to be while I'm shaking
Yeah.
off the dust. And then
Right.
we came out to Arizona, man, and that way I was able to recreate myself. And I think some people are afraid to reinvent themselves because they're afraid of people saying, "Yo, you're not the same." Well, bro, I'm not
Right.
supposed to be the same. Who I
Facts.
was toxic to
Yep.
myself,
Mm-hmm.
and then everybody around me. So yeah, no, I'm not the same. I did change. You're
Right.
absolutely right. I embrace that now.
Yeah, but that's what a
Mhm.
lot of people are like that, man. I'm a like to hear somebody say, "Man, you changed," like that. It does something to people. You know what I'm saying? And I don't
Yeah,
understand why it does because at times, man, I've had a couple cats that have told me, "Man, like you've changed," and I felt some type of way about that because I wanted them to have that same embrace to know, like,
mhm.
man, I'm doing different things now, but yo, I'm still the same dude, right?
Yeah,
But in reality, like I wasn't the same dude, but yet I was holding on to a piece of me that was connected to them versus fully
yeah,
embracing like the journey that I'm headed towards, man. And so
yeah.
that's tough for a lot of people though, for real.
But
Yeah.
it is when you're around people that ain't growing. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm around
Facts.
you, like bro, when we're getting on and you're setting up, like just to set, I'm like, oh, like okay, that's new. Like my man wasn't doing that, but like yo,
Right.
grow.
Fact.
Like I'm watching. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
but I'm embracing that, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yep, I need to step my game up.
Right.
So
Right.
if you're around people that are growing too,
Yeah.
I'm looking for the new you. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like, and then if I see a new you in you, and I'm not doing nothing new, it reminds me to do something new.
That's
You see
big.
what I'm saying? But if you're
Yeah.
around somebody who ain't doing nothing
Right.
and you ain't doing nothing,
Mm-hmm.
y'all are reminding each
Yeah.
other every day to do nothing.
Facts.
You,
Big
you see what I'm
facts.
saying? So
Yep.
yeah, nah, man.
Yeah.
Like yo, that part's light. It's
Yeah.
light when you start to look at it the right way. But again, what
Facts.
if you don't know who you are and what you want?
Yeah.
This is why people get lost, bro. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be. I'm tired of being lost. You know what I'm saying? I found myself.
That's dope. So what did you
Yeah.
do in North Carolina? Like were you like working a job or like what were you doing in North Carolina?
Now we got to North Carolina, bro. I was man. Listen, I had some bread, so I felt okay for a little while. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what I'm saying I'm still running around, same habits,
Okay, I
spending,
got you.
$100 a day just to, entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Whether that was
Mm-hmm.
just some, smoking, whatever I wanted to do, I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm still driving my Escalade. You know what I'm saying? That's costing me like $80 a day in gas because I'm exploring the
Facts.
town. So here I am with a 80 to a $90,000 a year habit. You know what I'm saying that I
Mm,
can't afford because I'm not doing nothing. I started
mm,
getting stressed because I'm like, yo, what is my value? Like, what do I have? Again, I'm like, yo, I gotta learn me. I gotta
right.
understand me. What can Pierre do?
Okay.
Based right now, like with the skills I have, what can I do? And this is what, believe it or not, bro, for the first 4 months, I said, I don't have no skills. I can't do nothing. I said, I
Okay.
can't do nothing. All I did was be in the streets. I started a couple little businesses. It really ain't work. Like, I can't do nothing. And the
Mm,
minute I started to look and say, hold on, man, I was running around. I was making a lot of bread. I'm like, yo, you can't do that if you don't know nothing. So I
facts.
started to look into what was I doing every day as I was making bread. I
Right.
started to look at the way I was branding myself in my environment. What did people say about me? How did they know me? Was it the image I wanted them to have of me? I'm like,
Mm,
yep. How'd I create it? I committed to it. I fully committed to having this be my brand. I
yeah.
fully committed to this being my product. I fully committed to this being my mood. You see what I'm saying? And
Mm,
then I started to say, wow, what if I do that over here? And I do that same thing. I just switch product, but I'm fully committed to it. What if I create the brand where I'm this type of person instead of this type of person? And I started to see that the stuff I was doing in my life, I really did have value. And that's where the shift really changed, man, when I started to believe in myself differently.
okay. So what did you go from that into because obviously you do a lot of stuff now. Like what was your
Mhm.
introductory point into what you currently do?
When I was doing insurance when I got in North Carolina, I did
Okay.
insurance. Once I was pacing back and forth, they're like, "Yo, you can make a lot of money," and I'm like, "Yo, I was hustling. Like, oh, I can
Right.
make money. All I gotta do is hustle. I'm in." You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I got into that game and started to learn that game a little bit, and I started to study coaches. I started to have mentors. Now, like motivational mentors, product knowledge mentors. I started to have all of this personal development going on, and I'm like, "Yo, I like this." And I started listening to it more and more. And then one day, my wife, when we got to Arizona, my wife came out and she was like, "Yo, you got to listen to this dude." And it was Eric Thomas. And I was like, "Yeah, I get to it later." And I pushed it to the
Ah,
side. And then it was like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And I was like, "Let me see what she sent me." And I'm starting to look at it. Bruh, she woke up at 6 o'clock. I'm still sitting there from 1 to 6. binge watching on videos. I'm like, ooh, went and caught him live. I'm like, yo, I got a story. I could do that.
Mm,
My wife's like,
mm,
yo, you hyperventilate in front of 3 people. How you gonna do that? And she was like, you can, but how you gonna do it right now?
mm.
And again, I started to look at myself and go back to when I was in the streets and what things that I have to overcome. How did I overcome it? And I related it to that story. And I said, yep, I got it. I
Okay.
just got to stay consistent.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
So I want to get into that. So you went and saw ET. You said that
yep,
you knew that you had a story. How did you know that that was it? Because that's the thing that I want to focus on when it comes to identifying your lane. Because so many people
yeah.
can't quickly go into, man, like, this is my story. This is what I have, and boom, I'm gonna commit to that. How did you know that that was it for you?
When I heard it and I was listening, I felt like he was talking directly to me.
Mm.
And I'm like, yo, I always been talking. They used to call me Sharif from Menace. They used to be
Yeah,
like, yo,
yeah,
Sharif, man, where you going, man? You got to get
right.
out the cup. You know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't want to hear that. We don't want to hear you trying to kick knowledge today, Sharif. So I've
Oh,
been
that's
doing
funny.
it. So when I'm listening to E, I'm like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
I could do that. I haven't shared my story. I really don't have the confidence to share it. But what he just did for me, what if I could do that for somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, yeah, let me try it. And I
Okay.
just got to work, man. I just tried, bro, and kept going.
So what was that journey like? So did you just like say, "Hey, boom, this is my story"? Then what was your next step? Did you go and speak somewhere? Like,
Yeah.
what did you go and do?
I went and got a coach. You know what I'm saying? I actually hired him and CJ to be my coach.
Oh,
And
okay, that's what's up.
so, me and CJ was working like every day, you know what I'm saying? Like going at
Mm.
it. And he helped me to develop, man. I finally got a gig and it was a free gig. But when I got up there, I froze. And I was like,
Real.
oh man. I
Dang.
have my son, my daughter, my wife with me. Yo, my kids was clowning me the whole ride. It was 45 minutes, bro.
Dang.
They clowned me the whole ride. They was like, Dad. I was like, what's up, son? He was like, oh man, I forgot. Oh man. Yo, they was killing me. You know what I'm saying? But yo, I had one option, man. That
What?
was to go home and get in front of the camera and keep
Mm.
going.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And probably for about 6 months after that, every event, he's like, him and my daughter, like, Dad, don't, oh man, don't, this,
Mm.
oh man, this when you ready. I'm like, yo, I'm good. And I just started going. You know what I'm saying? And from there, man,
Mm.
like that became motivation, not to go and kill the speech, but
Right.
to let my kids see that I didn't let a failure crumble me. I took that failure and made it a lesson.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So now they're looking like, yo, now I just got to keep going. I
Yeah.
can't, I'm not giving them a reason. I'm not giving them permission to quit. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, nah, figure it out.
Right. And I think that's important because, man, we all face adversity in life, man. And that adversity was that, man, I decided to go in a different direction. And when I made that decision, my first gig, man, but I'm hyped, my family there, everybody that I want to do well for, and then I freeze up. And so, man, like, what was the journey like of like bouncing back after adversity? Did you begin to like, I know you said like you just decided to go harder, but like, was there a seed of doubt that was planted that you had to overcome, or would you was like, nah, like what was that like?
It was, but it was short lived. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, it was like at that moment when I'm standing there, I'll never do this again. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Right,
yo,
right,
I'm
right.
never
Yeah.
going to do this. I'm done. This is not for me. But when I got around my kids, that's what made me say it's not about the speech itself. It's not about me speaking. It's about
Mm,
them seeing dad go through a struggle and overcome it.
right.
Because if they see me not overcome it, now what they're gonna say is, man, I don't really have to do it. Like I remember my dad struggled in something and he just tried something different. You see
Mm,
what I'm saying? So I never thought about me. I never thought about, yo, I'm gonna go learn how to speak better so that don't happen again. I'm like, yo,
right.
I'm gonna let my kids know, like, this stuff happens
Right.
and you gotta overcome it. That was
Right.
my whole purpose to keep going. And then I got to the point where I'm so deep in it, I don't have the right to quit.
Yeah. Yeah. Facts.
Yes, I think sometimes we gotta trick ourselves or accidentally get so deep where it makes no sense to turn around.
Facts. 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 So let me ask you this because I want to make sure that we hone in this. Like, was there like I know you said it seems like your family seems to serve as like uh external motivator because you talked about internal and have your own internal motivation earlier. But
Mhm.
like at what point, because I asked you earlier, like what, like how did you know that this was it? But like, was there any type of clarity and confirmation? I know you got yourself a coach, but in coaching, like what was the moment of clarity for you to when like you had that aha moment that allowed you to know that, bam, like this is it? Like, because was it always there? Or was there a process to it being there?
Now, I think it was always there. That's what made me so hungry. I spent 150 grand of my own money the first year because I wanted it. You see what I'm saying? Like, so
Whoa.
it wasn't a hobby. I wanted it, but I think that moment is when I was in California and the girl came over and she said, "I no longer want to kill myself. I have a reason to live."
Wow.
Yo, I already knew like I wanted this. That's why I was so invested and so committed to it.
Mm,
But when she said that, it put me
mm.
deeper.
I
You
no
see what I'm
longer
saying?
want
And
to kill
then,
myself. I have a
yeah,
reason to live.
I have a reason to live. You know what I'm saying? Like that made me be like, yo,
Yeah.
I don't have the right to stop. And
Yeah.
and for me, I get them moments. I think you go through so much mental beat up and so much frustration
Right.
that you feel like, man, am I doing the right thing?
Facts.
But then
Yeah.
every so often you get them moments,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Yep.
like, oh,
Yep.
I'm in the right place. You just bought yourself 6 months more time.
Yep.
And if you
That's
get
it.
another one of them wins in that 6 months, you bought yourself another year.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to
Yeah.
get as far away from, man, I don't even know if I feel like if this is what I should be doing. Like
Right.
that's not even that's if I turn around, I can't see it.
Yeah.
Because every day I'm talking to someone, they're like, man, thanks a lot. Last conversation, you helped me. This is what helped me. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't tell
Right.
me that, I would have never got this. And I'm like, yeah, easy. Boom. Your family's eating better now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, nah, that's my thing.
So this is like so I'm glad you actually mentioned that because I think that um like you talked about, boom, you bought yourself 6 months time, you get like these this confirmation, you get these moments of that's like, man, this is the reason why I got to keep going. But I think a lot of times there's this concept that people are this saying that people say a lot of times, they say, man, you got to stay in your lane, right? And so I think it's hard for a lot of people to stay in the lane, number one, because they don't know what their lane is, right? And so how can someone stay in the lane if they don't know exactly what it is that they should be doing? But also at the same time, we can actually have moments to where we feel like we know what our lane is, but then we get opportunities, right? And so how do you eliminate the distractions disguised as opportunities?
Oh man, that was hard. But I had to learn to say no.
Mm,
I had to learn to say no. I had to learn there was power in no.
right.
So much power in no, whether someone was offering you one fee and you said
Mm-hmm.
no, and they came back and offered you what you actually wanted, or maybe even more.
Right.
The power in no into, not locking your time in when you know some other things are coming up, but you're really not too sure about the other things. But this one thing, it seems good, but you really don't want to do it.
Right.
To
Right.
say
Right.
no to that, to wait. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's something that just happens over time
Mm,
with you making the wrong decision and going
yeah.
against what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I had an opportunity probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, to go speak at a church.
Uh-huh.
It was a church group out in Tampa, Florida,
Okay.
and the bag was small. But I said, I was like, yeah, I'll do it, and I committed to it.
Okay.
Then I had a call from URI, the University of Rhode Island, to
Okay.
come and speak to the football team the same
That's
day.
dope.
So I got Tampa, and then I got there. Rhode Island not only had a bigger bag, but it was a better opportunity. But I
Mm,
committed to the other one already. But there
yeah.
was wishy washy. So when
Mm-hmm.
I committed and told Rhode Island I couldn't go, they canceled on me in Tampa, and it was too late to do the Rhode Island. And I'm like,
Oh,
man, I said I wasn't gonna
dang.
cancel because I wanted to keep my word.
And they
I,
end
I
up
wanted to
canceling
keep
on
my
you.
word, even though this was the opportunity that I've been looking for. I've been waiting for it, and it was right there.
Mm,
And I was so mad at myself for a little while, but I said, yo, whether they canceled or not, I made the right decision because I kept my word. You
mm.
see what I'm saying?
Oh,
And at
wow.
some point it'll come back to me. It hasn't come back yet, but I was pissed. You see what I'm saying? But I'm like, yo,
Facts.
it hasn't come back, but at some point it will. Why? Because I'm in my lane,
Right.
and I'm gonna stay working on the craft because this is what I love. I want to go in another room and have someone say, "Wow, you helped me save my life. Wow,
Right.
you helped my child to do this. Wow, you helped
Right.
me to advance this way." Like I want to keep getting that. And if you get
Right.
enough of them, bigger opportunities than Rhode Island come.
Right.
So I'm saying that to say that when you can pass something up and live on your integrity and live on your word, that's when you know you're in your lane.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
It's not the money. The money don't drive. You know what I'm saying? I'm not driven by the money. I'm driven by me being who I say I am.
Mm,
And to get there, you got to spend time learning you every so
facts.
often. So that way you don't overlook or undervalue changes that happen with you
Mm-hmm.
that you don't even have knowledge of. You're
Yeah.
changing and you don't even have knowledge of it. So you can't use the change in your benefit. Instead, you're working against the change.
Mm,
So it's like, yeah, man.
yeah. So like I think that's definitely very important, but I think a lot of times like when we quote unquote keep our word and we say, man, like they can be that thing that draws us like, man, like maybe I should have just done this. But you said that element of like, man, I kept my word and I'm in my lane. So I know that these opportunities are gonna come back to me. And so like what keeps you focused? Like is there something that's just like, man, I'm doubting, as you said, it's not the money. You're not in this for the money, right? You're not
Mhm.
and you said you are in it because you to hear somebody else say, man, like you helped me save my life, type of things like that. But like, is that what keeps you focused, or is there something more that keeps you sort of locked into what it is that you're doing?
The thing that keeps me focused is being in the right conversations. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like reading the right stuff. If I'm watching TV, watching the right stuff, like controlling my surroundings.
Yeah.
That keeps me focused. Because if I put something in front of me, like for instance, man, I was around someone and they bought some red velvet cake. And I'm like, yo, right now I'm not eating none of that. Like I'm doing great. You see what I'm saying? But they brought the cake.
Oh.
I said no 3 times. The fourth
But
time,
then
I
what?
indulged in the cake. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because it came into my circle.
Yep.
It came into my space. So if you pay attention to yourself, if you take the 30 days to learn you, and you say these are the things that make me weak,
Right.
yo, don't put them around you right now.
Yeah.
You put the things that will defeat the weakness.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So when I go in the refrigerator, like, yo, I got nothing but healthy stuff in there. Why?
Right.
Because if I'm hungry, I'm either gonna eat it or not. But
Facts.
if I have something that's tasty, bro,
Mm-hmm.
come on, I'm getting to it.
Right.
So when we're talking about focus, surround yourself with the
Yeah.
things that are going to move you in the direction of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Now, only thing you have to focus on is people around you that are moving you in the right direction. If somebody brings something around you that does not have any nutritional value, like, yo, since you know what you want, eliminate it. Like, yo, get rid of it, get away from it fast.
Mm-hmm.
And don't feel like you're being disrespectful. You know your lane.
Mm-hmm.
And they have nothing to do with elevating you in your lane.
Right.
So why are they in your life for this season?
Bet.
That's why you got to live in that 90-day cycle. So every 90 days, you know who you need to kick out or who can still stay on your train. Everybody can't come every 90, bro.
Right.
It's not gonna happen.
So let's
No.
let's get so let's get deeper into that, because we talked about like how you got to transitioning out of where you were at your different environment,
Mhm.
and then you're on these stages, you're speaking and doing different things like that. So what is it? What do you do? What is your
To
lane? Well, like what is your current lane? Like what if you say like what
yeah.
does Pierre do? What is your lane?
So my lane. So this is the thing, right? I bring you through it real quick. Everything started for me just being in schools, junior high and high schools.
Okay.
And then I added universities, right? So I had
Okay.
junior high through universities. Like that was the lane. Like that's where I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still there. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I created a space where it's still moving.
Right.
And I can
Okay.
turn it up at any time, but it's moving, right?
Right.
So then I got to the point where I'm like, yo, hold on. There's some schools I can't go to. So I need to do some corporate work so that I can get the
Mm.
bigger bag and I can go to the schools that don't have the budget
Got you.
when I'm in them states, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I started to do that. I started to work that in a little more, understand it. I got that to work. And then I said, hold on, man. Everything that I'm teaching, how can I simplify this? And then I said, that's the 330, the 30 days of who you are, the 30 days of execution, 30 days of filling the gaps. Like, can we teach this? And I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
now I got into the lane of I'm just teaching this program.
Okay. And is
This is
that
all
what
I'm
fifth
doing.
quarter is that fifth quarter academy?
That's that. Now, fifth quarter academy is our weekly calls. That's what we do. We do our
Okay.
weekly calls where we actually grow what we talk about in the 330 even more. Like we go deeper with it's the events.
Okay. So I'm sorry about that. Tell me about the
No,
330
you
again.
good.
Yeah,
So
keep going into that.
yeah, nah. So the 330 is where I'm teaching that concept of what are we doing that first 30? What does that execution look like in the second? And then what does fill in the gaps look like? So I'm teaching that in high schools. I'm in junior highs and high schools,
Okay.
right? Corporate and individuals. Like I'm bringing that across the board because it fits.
Right. So what is it that if let's say for example if I went through the 330 and if somebody is watching this they go to the 330 as well, like what is the
Mhm.
biggest transformation that happens over those 90 days as I continue to go through those 90-day cycles?
So the biggest thing, man, is you're maximizing growth and in a faster time because you're being intentional about moving, right? About
Mm-hmm.
moving forward. You're being intentional about learning you. We're so busy worrying about learning a process
Yeah.
that we can never maximize the process because we're bringing the old us into a new
Mm.
process.
Right.
We're bringing the old mentality into
Okay.
something new. So this is why we got to constantly like again, if somebody tells you, yo, you different, bro, it's been 90 days. I've been working hard. You know what I'm saying? I'm working off. I'm doing push-ups every day. I'm not going to be the same in 90 days. Like my joint going to look a little different. You can't lie and say, yo, you've been doing 100 push-ups a day for 90 days, but there's no change. You're going to have a change. But now you got to know, you got to learn your new strength.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're stronger now, so you can't push me the same way. Like, bro, come on, man, you're too strong now.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is how it is with your behaviors.
Right.
What new behaviors did you create? Are they beneficial? Are they damaging to you? So
Right.
that's the biggest key is to learn yourself continuously. But once you learn yourself, don't hoard the information. Go and execute it,
Right.
and
So
then study your execution.
okay. So when I go through, so let's say for example, I'm going through your 330 program. Is it like
Mhm.
a transition from 330 to fifth quarter academy? Walk me through your process.
Yeah, so great question, man. So you go through the whole 90 days. We go through the whole 90. From the 90 days, you're learning you're doing the process, you're doing the exercises, but
Okay.
you haven't really figured out how to customize it to you so
Okay.
that you can maximize everything.
Okay.
So now we got three calls that we're holding every week. So you're getting on the three calls every
Okay.
Saturday, every Monday, and every Wednesday. And we're walking through this process when you're saying, man, I'm going through this with family. I can't cut this one off.
Mm-hmm.
These are my friends. This is happening. This
Right.
right here is happening in business. I don't know how to address it. These are the things that we're working on as we go through the academy because that fifth quarter academy, that's maximizing everything. No days off.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so when people go through this, like what do people typically come to you for? Are they coming through you to you because they're just trying to learn themselves, they're just trying to grow as an individual, or are they trying to grow in a specific skill set? Which one is it?
Yep. So the individuals that come are those that know they lack the confidence in themselves.
Okay.
They
Okay.
lack that mental toughness. That's why the first 30 is all about building you, right?
Okay.
We only don't get what we want in life because we lack the mental toughness to follow through with things and get it done. And then
Mm-hmm.
if we do follow through, we don't have the confidence to be continuous with it.
Right.
And then the self-esteem starts to like take a hit because we're taking other hits. And then it's just like, oh, I'll go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's building them three things and then showing you how to really execute and maximize each one of them.
Okay. So if anybody is struggling with confidence, right, that's something that they should come to you and you will be able to take them through this 90-day process that's going to go through, that's going to help them build up themselves, which is going to build their confidence, but also allow them to be able to examine those pieces of themselves that they need to now get rid of, not just pieces of themselves, but also people around them so that it can continue to bring their full self and continue to grow in the way they need to grow for their life to be able to go to the next level. Is that, am I hearing that correctly?
Absolutely. You hit the
Okay.
nail on the head.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Dope. All right. So mental toughness, we're going through that. Boom. So with the academy that you have, is that basically let me rewind that. So you have a book, am I correct? Is this the 330? Is that a book or is that a course or is that explain that to me a little bit more.
So the 330 is it's a whole digital program,
It's
and
a
the
digital
last few
pro.
videos
Okay.
is being done.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're gonna get the workbook. On top of the workbook, you're also gonna get the video course, and and then there's always the opportunity, man, for to do some things one-on-one, if you feel like you need that help, or a group setting.
Okay, all right, boom. That's what I was trying to understand. Okay, boom. So it's a whole course. The 330 program is a course. All right, bam.
Yes.
So you created this for what? Like, what was your whole mindset? Like when you were in your house, your wherever you were at, thinking about this program. Like who was in mind? Like who were you thinking about, or what were you thinking about to create what you developed?
Me. I was thinking about me. I got so frustrated, man, looking for avatars. This is the craziest thing. I'm looking and I'm writing stuff out. I'm like, that's the
Mm,
avatar. That's the
yeah, yeah,
avatar.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? There was all these different avatars, and it was frustrating me because that's not my thing. That's not my lane. That's not
Yeah,
my niche to
yeah,
identify this, right? And I don't have the patience for it. So I said,
yeah.
hold on, Pierre, everything you developed is your life. Like it's what
Right,
you went through. It's what you used to get you out of where you was.
right.
So I said, I'm the avatar. I said, hold on. So how would
Facts.
I talk to me? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the best place to start, right? With being me. So who was I? What allowed me to open my mind to even want to start this? And I just
Mm-hmm.
reverse engineered this thing all the way back.
That's
And
dope.
at the end of the day, I realized one thing, man. I didn't have clarity on where I wanted to go. So no matter what I did, I don't care what it was, no matter how much time I
Mm,
put into it, nothing will ever work because
right.
I didn't know what I wanted. I
Okay.
started to look at people that started different things, whether if it was a dump truck business, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was, a taxi company, whether it was
Right.
a construction company.
Mm-hmm.
This is all they did every daggone day.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I just started to look at things this way, man, and that's really what made a difference.
Okay, so you talked about you started looking there, and that's what I want to even highlight that because I don't want to get past this point. And
Mhm.
so, because I think that's where a lot of people are in life, man. I've even been in that place, man. Like I have things that, like even when it comes to identify your lane, man. Identify your lane has been a concept for years, but it's just now coming to life. And that's because I've been in this space of looking here and there and not really just diving deeper into what is it that I want to bring to life. And I think a lot of people find themselves in that space to where, like I was just, me and my wife were just watching a video early, and it's this guy that's in the health space. He does home health care and things like that. And you get these ideas about, man, maybe is that something we can do? Is this something that we can do? Like, like how did you get the clarity to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I am going to continue to do what it is that I said that I was going to do. Like, what was it that made you like get rid of those ideas, get rid of those thoughts, get rid of those opportunities, and say, no, this is the opportunity. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Because it came easy to me. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
Okay.
sometimes, like it sounds so cliche, like yo, do what comes easy to you.
Right.
That's hard for others. It's easy for me to talk about them things, mental toughness, confidence, self-esteem, and building you.
Okay.
Why? Because when I was sleeping in the car, I had to do it. When I was walking the streets being homeless, I had to do it. When I was
Mm-hmm.
writing my book, there was moments in writing my book that I cried. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? I'm like, wow, man, like I can't believe I went through that.
Yeah.
So my life that I went through is not by accident. It was by
Right.
design.
Mm.
So when we're looking at the program and we're like dominant by design, the 330, right? It's like, yo, I designed this. This happened
Mm.
intentionally. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Whether if you're spiritual, whatever it is, my life was designed and I'm living it.
Yeah.
And I got a choice. Do I do this or this? And every time I do this, it brings me on another path that's already designed for that path.
Yeah.
So that is like, it's easy to me to talk about the 330
Mm.
because that's what I did in my life. And I think sometimes we try to be like other people. You know how long I used to listen? I used to be like, man, do sound deep. Like my stuff ain't deep like that. How am I going to get that crowd? Man,
Yeah.
yo, you heard what he just said. They talking about marketing. They talking about
Mm.
Instagram. Like I ain't talking about. Then I'm like, hold on. People ain't rocking their Instagram out because they ain't mentally right. They don't know who
Mm.
they are. They're trying to find themselves by creating someone who they're not, and that makes it
Mm.
hard. The
Yeah.
minute I said I'm just going to be me, bro, it's easy to come on here and just be me.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying?
Facts.
That's easy. No studying.
Facts.
No studying needed.
So this is my question because I want to get more into this because I think this is the part that we want to trickle this thing down a little bit. Why do you think so many people struggle to find their lane?
Because they're looking at other people and they're making their decisions based on what they see someone doing. So
Okay.
if you see somebody living great off of a lane, you automatically think like, yo, I could jump in that lane and live great too. Nah,
Facts.
you're not wired for that type of work. I'm not wired to go be an engineer, bro. That's not me. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I go play football. You know what I'm saying? I go play some
Yeah.
gladiator stuff, but
Right.
I'm not wired to be an IT person. I don't have the
Mhm.
patience.
Yeah.
But do you need me to go pick something up and bring it over? I could do
Yeah.
that. You see what I'm saying? Like you got to know how you're wired, and I think it's hard to find your lane when you're trying to take somebody else's circuit board and put it in you.
Right.
You got to be brave enough to go make your mistakes so that you can learn from it and understand that by making the mistakes and then correcting them is how you become a master in the lane. So that
Right.
person you're trying to duplicate their success, you're trying to avoid their accidents. So because you're
Mm.
trying to avoid their accidents, you can never get their success. You got to
Mm.
know who you are, like, and that's where it starts, man. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's nearly impossible to be successful if you're trying to be somebody else because it's too much to learn.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, and that's the whole purpose of this, man. I want people to really embrace themselves, to know who it is that they are, and to realize that like you will never get where you're trying to go, copycatting. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Yeah.
gonna be some moment in time to where you're just gonna be out of space because there's only so many elements that you can copy without the real you being exposed, and it's like, man, like I don't even belong within the space. And I think that's why a lot of people, man, find themselves to where you hear about like midlife crises. Or you feel like people that are going through it, man, they're doing everything for everybody else, but they're not doing the things that they were designed to do. You talk about dominant by design. They're not doing the things that they were designed to do. And so, man, like what, like, why do you think it's important for somebody to identify their lane, to know what it is that they were supposed to be doing with this life?
Because that's how you find happiness. My wife and I was talking about it today, man. Because you know, my little cousin, her little sister, was talking about we're going through a midlife crisis. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We got some sports cars and we're looking at some other stuff, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Y'all going through a midlife crisis?" No, we're just not worried about nobody no more. This is stuff we wanted to do before, but we was
Mm-hmm.
worried about what somebody might say or how somebody might feel. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Right.
now, like, no, we're not worried about it now. And maybe we couldn't back then, but now we can. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's not a midlife crisis. There's certain stuff when you're young, you don't even know what you want. You don't
Yeah.
know what you want out of life. You over here switching everything. You know what I'm saying? You don't got a job. You got a week job. You're gonna be here for a week, then you're gonna go over here. You're gonna start this business. You're gonna go over there. You know this is your boyfriend, that's your girlfriend, and now it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're wishy washy with yourself. You know, I'm 44 now, bro. I know what I want. And if me being around you is not connected to what I want, you're not going to be around me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's clear as that, man. So I
Yeah.
don't think there's no midlife crisis. We just get to the point, man, where it's like, oh, I can now. And
Right.
and I'm going if I want polka dots on my car, bro, I'm gonna polka dot it out and
Right.
ride by you like looking like a Dalmatian, don't even care because
Right.
it's
Right.
what I
Right.
want. You know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at now. That's happiness,
Yeah.
man.
So let me ask you this:
Mhm.
outside of happiness,
Yep.
what are the other benefits of somebody identifying their lane and knowing not only what it is that they were supposed to be doing, but actually walking in what they were designed to do?
I think it takes time to find what you're designed to do.
Okay.
But you find that by doing stuff that excites you.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
go do something that makes you excited. And
Yeah.
when that excitement dies down, don't just say, "Oh, let me do something else." No, what made that excitement go away?
Right.
Like you
Right.
got this is collecting personal data now. We update our cell phones, our computers all the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Understand why. Like why am I walking away from this now? What made me walk away?
Right.
It's just I don't like the bad stuff that goes with it. The
Right.
stuff I got to study to do it, I don't like.
Mm.
Okay, cool. What
Yeah.
part of it don't you like? You got to go a little deeper, right? I don't
Right.
like this part of it. Okay, but you like this part. Great. So
Right.
now you find out that it's only really a little piece you don't like, but can I find value to justify me doing the stuff I don't like to enjoy the other part of it? And if
Got you.
I say no, that means I don't love it. This ain't my space.
Mm.
But if I can do it and say, no, I got to do that part. Like, bro, I don't like waking up
Yeah.
every morning at 5 o'clock when the clock's changed to do a daggone video in the group all the time.
Right.
But
Right.
I
Right.
show up
Yeah.
because of the bigger picture. I love when I get done running my mouth, bro. I'm like, yo, I'm glad I did that call.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
these are the things we got to understand about ourselves, man. Why do
Yeah.
we stop? Why do we not want to keep going? What makes us sad? Why do we want to quit? Understand
Right.
that, and then you're going to be able to come across the thing that you was designed to do by
Right.
accident, but you
Mm-hmm.
was intentional about doing something.
Right. So what's been the greatest thing that has happened in your life since you not only identified the lane that you were supposed to walk in, but actually going through the process of being dominant by design, knowing what you're supposed to be doing, staying in your lane. Like what benefits have you seen in your life because of that?
Man, number one, man, I got 24 years with the missus. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
that's
that's
keeping the
dope.
hype. My son still love me. He's 21 years old. He hangs with his dad. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? My daughter, 14. I never missed no events that they ever had. I've been to everything. You know what I'm saying? Except for
wow.
one of my daughters because she told me the day before and I had to fly out. You know what I'm saying? So that's the
Mm,
only one I missed. But them are the benefits. Like my kids love me. They're like, yo, dad, you're a superhero. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
And I want to stay their superhero. So
right.
by me, like putting myself through the pains, I'm allowing our family tree to change.
That's
You know what
dope.
I'm saying? I'm allowing another branch to be broken off and planted and grow our own family tree
Mm,
stronger. You
that's
know what I'm
good.
saying? Not trying to be better than anybody, but be stronger so that we can
Mm,
support the rest of the other trees that are connected to us. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
But that's the biggest benefit for me, man, to be able to really, like still have my family and be able to grow. And that's one of the things that I struggled with because I didn't know who I was and I was trying to find me. And
mm,
anytime something got in the way, I would give it the cold shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Even like with family, I would be distant. But now I know me. I don't have to be distant from people. I just know how long I can stand people now. You know what I'm
mm.
saying? Like I
Yeah,
just know like what conversations I want to hear and what I don't. And you
right.
start talking wrong, bro, I hang up. Conversation's over because I protect this. And they all know now, so they don't bother me with it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, that's so dope, man. Like just hearing you speak, man. This is like you finding your lane has like that's impacted generations. Like it's made a generation. They talk about breaking generational curses, man. I see you like you're really doing that, man. And man, I think it's so dope. One thing that I do want to kind of go into because I want to talk about the other side of this, man. Like what do you believe happens if someone never finds their lane? What do you think
I
happens in those
I think if you're
situations?
in if you're there's two sides of this, man.
Okay.
If you're in search of it and you never find it, I think you're still happy because the journey. You
Okay.
learn so much along the way. And then, you like I tell my kids all the time, I might not never make it to where I want to be, but I'll develop a new starting point for you guys. Like you guys will have
Mm,
resources I didn't have. So now instead of starting off at, step one, y'all are starting off at like step 30, step 15 or something. You
it's
have a new
amazing.
starting point now. So
Mm,
that's huge. You see what I'm saying? Like I think that's big. I don't know. I might never do it. I might never
yeah.
get there, and I'm okay with it. But then you have the person. If you stop and you watch other people live their journey, bro, you're dying daily. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Like when Pac said, "Cowards die, a thousand deaf soldiers die but once,"
Mm,
bruh. I believe it. Like if I go
yeah.
out with everything and I die, like you better be like, yo, I could die right now and I'm good.
Mm,
Like, boom, I want to live, but I'm just saying, if I went right now, I know I'm happy.
that's dope,
But if
man.
I got to sit there for the next 30 years and just watch other people win because I was too much of a coward to take the shot, I can't live with that, bro. That's daily death. That's daily death, man. So I think it's two sided, man.
Man, hey, that was that. You even changed my mindset because I was thinking I had thoughts about like what happens if you never find your lane, but like that whole bar that you dropped about like man, like I've changed, I've set the bar at a different location because I decided to live my journey, man. I think that was super dope, man. And so this is one thing, man. We're coming to the end of this segment, man. And I just want to say, man, you've dropped so many gems throughout this, but I want to go here for a second, man. Like, there's somebody out there right now that is confused, doesn't necessarily know what it is that they should be doing with their life. Like, what kind of encouragement do you have to somebody out there that is on a journey trying to figure it out what it is that they should be doing with their life?
Yeah, I truly believe that these steps right here, man, are key. And number one is at the top of your paper, man. Write down what do you want? Like, what do you want in the
Mm,
next 12 months, 24 months? You know what
okay.
I'm saying? Like, what do you want? Once you identify it, just ask yourself a series of questions, master questions, even with yourself. So, what's stopping you from moving forward, right? Identify your external things, internal things. You're going to have your external things, you're going to say family, friends, your environment, you know what I'm saying? Your job, your financial. These are all external things, right? And then identify 5 internal things that are stopping you, like
Mm,
self-talk,
okay.
self-doubt, you know what I mean? Your lack of belief. Identify these things. And then I want you to ask yourself, which one of these things are affecting you because of your lack of mental toughness, confidence, or self-esteem? And really like narrow it down and don't lie to yourself, right?
Mhm.
But take the stuff that's external and cross it out
Okay.
because that stuff you can't control. You have no control over it. Don't spend no time with it. Don't give it no energy. Act like it never ever existed in your life. And you just focus on everything internal, one at a time.
Mhm.
So you got it all on one paper, put it all on a separate piece, whatever that one thing is. And then I want you to spend every day getting this thing to where it's no longer an issue. Don't
Yeah.
rush. It's not a process because if you don't deal with none of it, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years gonna go by, you're gonna be in the same place. If it
Mhm.
takes you 1 year to do one thing, that means in 5 years you're better. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You at least got an expiration date now of being better. Like in 5, I'm gonna be good because I'm gonna do one of these a
Got it.
year. So just
Mhm.
knock them out. That second thing is I want you to identify your strengths and your weakness. Some of y'all are so weak in areas and you think your job is to make it better. No, your job is to maximize your strengths so that you can put the right people around you to make your weaknesses better. Whether you're
Mhm.
paying someone or you create a relationship that you're paying through information and they're giving you their fee through information. You know what I'm
Got you.
saying? And if you do these things right here, man, like you're start to feel better because you're operating in the place you're supposed to be and not operating in the place somebody else. This is where no is important. No, I'm not
Mhm.
going over there to do that because this is where my strength is and this is where I need to be. Whether you believe it or not, that's okay, but this is what I need right here.
Yeah.
And hold your space, man. So that's what I would give anybody like just starting.
Yeah, man. There's this book that I came across recently called "Who Not What," um, and it's like understanding like in these areas that you're weak. We're talking about like what you need to do. Don't really focus on what you need to do. Focus on who needs to do that. Focus on the strengths and do a better job of delegating things within your life. And so, man, so many times we're focused on the what, but we need to be focusing more on the who. And that's what I feel like you just highlighted right there, man. And so, this is my last question that I have before we end this thing, man. And I think there's this concept that I like to talk about. It's called "Be the Bridge," man. And so, with it is like Harriet Tubman is somebody that we as African Americans, we know who she is because of like what she means to our fight for freedom and things like that. But what she did, she took everything that she went through, and then she went back and she helped other people get out of that situation, man. The question that I have for you, man, with your lane and what you're doing, like what do you desire to do? Who are you looking to reach out to, and where are you looking to take them to when it comes to your message of mental toughness? When it comes to the 330, when it comes to dominant by design, like who are you looking to go out and reach, and where are you looking to take them to?
Man, I'm looking for those that feel as though they lack a formal education, whether you're,
Mm,
a high school dropout, you're a college dropout. I talk to so many people, they feel bad because they're 4 or 5 credits away from getting their college degree, but they dropped out and didn't go back. So they
mm,
feel a way about themselves, right? So that's that audience. That's who I'm talking to. You feel less than, what you truly are. I want to get you to the place where you learn to maximize the old you. There's so many
mm,
gems and so much information, so many lessons to learn from the old you. You don't need to go outside of you and try to understand something complicated right now.
mm, yeah.
Understand who you are and let's take that new you, right? Create that new you and let the new you go out and execute for that new life that you want. The
Yeah.
old you cannot get you the new life.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Dope, man. Man, I appreciate, it, man. This has been dope, man. My mind is racing right now, man, because so many gems were dropped, man, and I'm excited about even me going back and watching this and just like taking my own notes and processing things. But man, for those that are looking to find more of you, like where can they find you at? Tell us a little bit where you can be reached and what are your handles and all that different type of stuff.
Yeah, everything, man. Just go to Instagram, Fifth Quarter Living. Fifth
Okay.
Quarter Living, everything pops up. You can Google Fifth Quarter Living. Yeah, and everything pops up right under that.
Okay.
Keep it simple.
All right, dope, man. Well, man, I just want to say, man, thank you so much for coming on the Identify Your Lane podcast, man. This is a place that's dedicated to helping people figure out what it is that they're supposed to be able to do with their lives so that they can go and master the lane. So if you're out there and you're trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to do with your life, hey, stay after it. Make sure you do what Pierre said. Go out there and put that internal work in, right, to figure out what it is that you need to work on internally so that you can actually be better, so you can actually show up the way that you need to show up, so that you have the mental toughness to actually go out on this journey to say, hey, it's not going to be easy to become who I'm trying to be, but my mind is built up enough to where I'll continue to go on it, even when the world may reject you, even when there may be no after no after no. Like, will you continue to stay in there until you get your yes? Because you know that that's the lane that you are supposed to be in. And when you do that, you will become a master of your lane. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, I'll see you out.